Hey, as SEOs, we're constantly working down a slew of to-dos to improve our site. But we can get locked into an unending cycle of trying to perfect something that cannot be perfected. We're dismantling SEO professionalism with Kristina Azarenko live today on The Edge.
Go! Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. Powered by your digital marketing pioneers, Site Strategics. Now, here's your host, Aaron Sparks.
Oh, hey, well, welcome to a live edition of Edge of the Web Radio. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks with Site Strategics. Every week, we bring you amazing guests to chat with and trending digital marketing news topics. We unpack a key marketing topic for our digital marketing audience. So whether you're a part of an agency or a freelancer or part of a firm, this show is for you. So check out everything that we do over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. The Edge of the Web is actually brought to you by our title sponsor, Site Strategics. We're pioneers in the agile digital marketing methodology. Our core specialties are technical SEO, social media marketing and management, search engine marketing management, as well as conversion rate optimization and kind of the omni-channel media broadcast of which you're participating right now. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, simply jump over to sitestrategics.com. Give us a call as well over at 877-SEO for web or 877-736-4932. Some housekeeping real quick. We want to let you know here. Coming up, we're going to be having our podcast of Olga Zarenko as we talk about a lot of great SEO analysis tools. Be sure to check out the recent shows we did with J.D. Prater and Joe Martinez, as well as Garrett Sussman and Bill Slosky. Had some fantastic time with those individuals. If you're interested in being part of the show, just let us know. Jump into your email and just give us a ping at info@edgeofthewebradio.com. That's info@edgeofthewebradio.com. Set your reminders for YouTube whenever we drop some video, as well as go live as well. So along with that, we want to make sure that you join our newsletter. So you can text to the number 22828, the word Edge Talk. You can sign up right there. You can also go over to edgeofthewebradio.com, sign up free of charge. Obviously, each and every week, we're bringing you all the news of the week, along with our guest that we've interviewed for that week, as well as some pro tips and a couple key insights to help you with your SEO digital marketing efforts of the week. So be sure to jump in there. We love bringing you that type of information on a regular basis. All right, so lastly, make sure you check out our weekly podcast about news of the week with our co-host, Morty Oberstein, head of communications over at SEMrush. We tackle all the news of the week and hopefully get through it without Morty breaking one of our wheels on our cart. So check that out. We drop it every Tuesday morning as well as we can get it in front of you for your early digital marketing tactics of the week. All right. So with all that to do, hey, this is our live broadcast of Edge of the Web. We haven't done one of these in a while. Great to be able to bring in our expert industry guest. Her name is Kristina Azarenko. She's been on the show before. She's the founder of Marketing Syrup, and she's also a very specifically talented SEO focused on e-commerce and technical SEO. She's a consultant based out of Toronto, Canada, and she helps small and medium-sized businesses get traffic and focus primarily on e-commerce SEO. Over the years, she's been on this show. Back in October of 2020, she's been so active in the SEO community. It's been stunning. Kristina has actively actually led SEOs in the field with a 45-day and 30-day SEO challenge course that has been doing very, very well. And check out what she's been putting together here. 18 hours of video training, a VIP Slack community, homework checklists for your SEO challenge for participants of that, checklists and templates, a series of mastermind calls with Kristina, SEO help documents, and a full course for SEOs and non-SEOs alike. So it's a fantastic tool. I usually don't lead with a kind of a commercial for the guest, but this is a special situation. Kristina has been producing such great content for the SEO community. I wanted to let people know about this course as quickly as possible. We'll talk more about this here in a second. Kristina's been named one of the top 13 women who are shaping SEO, shaping the SEO industry by Search Engine Land, and she continues to contribute daily into this industry. So we wanted to get her on, talk about some of her recent posts and what it means to actually kind of break apart this mystique of trying to go after SEO perfectionism when it comes down to technical SEO and the like. But before anything else, Kristina, thanks for joining our show today.
Thanks, everyone. And hi, everyone who's listening, who's watching us. I'm really, really happy to be here. And I'm really happy to talk about SEO perfectionism today, because this is one of the topics that I've been sharing a lot of information about in my posts and also with my students inside of the SEO Challenge. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here today. And if you have any questions, also like pop up in the chat, the questions. So I'll be happy to answer them. And yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Kristina, we thank you for joining us on our live show here. Before anything else, can you share a little bit about your history that I didn't introduce in the bio? Give us an understanding of how you came to be one of the top 13 women shaping the SEO industry this year.
So being an SEO is not something that I thought I would be when I was just a small girl, right? This is not something that you think that, oh, I want to be an SEO in the future, right? SEO didn't even exist at that point. So it was a long and interesting journey. And I think one of the biggest values that helped me to transfer the knowledge and basically the SEO mindset is that I know how hard it can be sometimes, first of all, to start. Secondly, to be confident in what you're doing, because sometimes it's just hard, especially in our SEO industry. And I know I've been through this because I've been in SEO for like 10 plus years, and I've been through ups and downs not in my career. My career has always been like good and great, I'd say, but in terms of my feelings about myself in this industry, and also how I thought everything worked, this was completely different from what I see now. And it's not, and now I'm talking, so what I want to talk about today, not just, okay, here's an SEO, you need keywords, you need title tags. I want to shift to the SEO mindset. This is the main thing that we are going to cover today.
Very good, very good. Well, we certainly give you all the accolades for what you're doing in the community. But something, you had a post in LinkedIn that caught my attention, and I pivoted around and wanted to see whether or not you wanted to talk about it. It is about SEO perfectionism and trying to do everything and kind of getting bottled up in just the living and dying by the technical audit scorecard, for lack of a better description. So we entitled this show Dismantling SEO Professionalism, and that's for a very good reason. There's a mindset in the SEO industry that everything has to be tied down in order to accomplish correct SEO. And we're going to talk about those audits in a minute, but SEO does start with the right mindset. So let's break SEO into its subparts first. I mean, you've got the technical SEO, and there's a lot of other parts underneath technical SEO, but you also have content SEO and its cousin, kind of the semantic SEO space, where we're relating content inbound and internally. They all have their respective analytical and marketing kind of combination, right? Is that you can be very, very analytical in a technical SEO report, but you can actually kind of move yourself away from the intent, which is the marketing component, getting that content visible to the users that you're trying to deliver it to. So what is the right mindset? I mean, you've trained a lot of people in your courses. What's the first thing that you need to establish for either new SEOs or seasoned SEOs? What do you start with?
Well, the whole course starts with basically setting up the website, but it's not about setting up the website. It's about doing something hands-on, because sometimes, and I've seen it in my career, that if someone works just at an agency, okay, you came working at an agency, that's great, but you get basically ready websites, and you have no idea how to actually set up, like, let's say, Google Search Console and everything, or how to actually set your own website if it's just a WordPress website. And this gives a much better, like, rounded understanding of how things work. And also, I'm a big lover of having your own sites to play with, because whenever, for example, you want to even with like Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, or with testing some technical SEO things as well, like, for example, no indexing, you can always use your website. You can kill it, everything is fine, but you want to make sure that you test some things before you actually roll them out on your client's website.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, it doesn't mean that everybody, I think that being a technical SEO and being really, really, really good at content, it requires kind of different skill sets. But so it's all when it comes to niching down, you can be either or if you are really great at both of them, that's great as well. But I mean, you still need to understand, like, the overall picture of how things work. So that's why in my course I go from the very beginning and through all the steps, so that it's basically like knowledge gap filler for people, because you can be really good at content, but then you might be panicking when some technical issue happens, and it's just not good. And also, you can be really good at technical, but then you have no idea what intent is. You're trying just to rank a page, and you don't understand why it's not ranking, while kind of very good, right? And technically solid, but you don't think about the intent. You don't think about more like marketing side behind it. So that's why I believe that to be a really good SEO, you need to have experience on different sides, and then you're free to choose. You're free to niche down in certain areas, in certain industries, or certain SEO spheres, like international SEO, for example.
There you go. So, yeah, absolutely. You're in that space. I wanted to kind of unpack with you is, I mean, you could certainly be you could have a kind of a balance of your preferred diet. If you like the technical, right? Absolutely, have some sandbox websites that you can have no fear of breaking things on, right? Have that at your disposal, but you should certainly appreciate the marketing and the intent and the research of intent component as well inside of technical, because I mean, there's all these different camps, and I don't want to say creative and analytical. That's actually not really giving due course, because there's a lot of creative technical SEOs out there, but it's really about research of intent, understanding intent, being able to reduce friction to be able to get that content as available to that user as possible. It's also, I mean, we have to also recognize the UX side of things, because once that user gets there, being able to move them to that next discovery or build upon the query and answer that, that's a UX, that's a additional understanding of intent and content that can firmly be not in the technical SEO's camp, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so my initial post was also talking about being perfectionist. Is basically when I first started in SEO, I was thinking that I needed to fix everything. So let's say one of the examples would be to internal links to a redirect, right? So we know that redirect loops are hard to pronounce, first of all, and secondly, we know that they're not really good. But also, it's just like one redirect between the initial page and the target page, and this is really not something that people click on a lot. You don't need to obsess. You don't need to obsess about all of these things to get this right, because you might not be seeing the whole picture behind this. And I see many people like having, okay, we need to do this, and this, and they don't have any prioritization, first of all, and secondly, it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole, especially in SEOs. We have such a curious mind. We want to dig. We want to we want to really go deep, right? And this is what makes us good, right? But at the same time, we need to find where this point to end this, and to basically shift the focus to the whole picture, the bigger picture of things.
Absolutely. And that really comes to pass whenever you're looking at a technical SEO audit. There are so many factors, there's so many checklists and all these tools have so many different suggestions and recommendations. Prioritization as well as one of the key things. But you can actually you can trap yourself in a almost like the truffle pigs, and you're trying to find that truffle in the code they're trying to improve or minify JavaScript or being able to reduce some issues here. But if your content's not passing muster and it's not valuable, you're losing, you're looking at the trees, not the forest. And I'm going to just string my metaphors along. So, not to get too in the weeds on any one particular thing, but it is a mindset of prioritization. You have to build that skill set of knowing when to quit, when to not continue to follow that 3-to-1 redirect loop, and try to build that in light of understanding the larger context of site needs and site goals, right? So having a priority list has to be educated by not only your industry knowledge, but also the site knowledge itself. From a right mindset for an SEO, does it actually also constitute attitude going into a project?
Well, definitely. And I remember myself many years ago when you just look at the website and you start thinking, and you just go down the rabbit hole again, right? You just like, okay, we need to change this, we need to change this, change this, but then what's the impact? Why, how do you make sure that you're communicating that this is going to have an impact? And you should be sure that this is going to have an impact, right? So I'd say that I have a framework, which is something. So when I look at the website, I start finding things that are of different priority, but then afterwards I just move up those that are most important, those that would be low-hanging fruit. Sometimes it can be content. Sometimes if the content is not indexed, then we can write the best content ever. But if there is something, for example, with JavaScript and Google not being able to index, like to crawl and index it, then we are not going to concentrate on content at this point. So it's all about being discoverable and also delivering the best user experience and the best content. And a good example of this would be Core Web Vitals. Core Web Vitals are important, definitely. And they are about user experience, they are about page speed, but also they are part of user experience. And I strongly believe that the quality of your content also part of user experience, because if a user comes to your website and your content is not really good, then it will influence user decision. They might just leave your website and go to your competitors, right? So when we talk about when so many companies were obsessed about Google Core Web Vitals, and on one hand, it is good because Google made it so much easier to communicate the importance of them to clients. So this is good. But at the same time, some clients were just panicking while they did not have the foundations first, the content first. So it's also about the balancing of things that obviously you need to concentrate on. Plus, what I like, how I like naming it, is reactive SEO. Is sometimes when something comes out, something new, people start obsessing about it. They don't know exactly what the impact is going to be or how's it going to work. They just jump right on without thinking about anything else. And a good example of this was back, oh my God, like 2017 maybe, when Google changed meta descriptions length from 160 characters to 320, something like that.
Right.
I know many SEOs were jumping like, okay, we need to change all our meta descriptions. And for a very huge website, especially if you're not using templates, it's very, very time consuming. And then it was really ridiculous. Then a few months later, Google switched back. And so you just lost all of this time of your work. Yeah, absolutely. Surprise, surprise. So that's why I'm saying being reactive to everything what's happening, and SEO is so dynamic, right? We need to react, but we do not need to be reactive without understanding the impact and understanding the whole picture.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll unpack a couple of the things here. Is one, you have to have contextual knowledge of the importance of something that either Google's saying or that we know in the ecosystem. And you're absolutely right. That was a perfect example of an overreaction based on a small data point that Google's paying attention to. And the Core Web Vitals is another thing, is that we've been in Core Web Vital panic for months leading up to the page user experience. But at the same time, Google was very forthcoming, telling us that it was only going to be looked on as a tiebreaker. If you have neck and neck content, then it would look and lean towards a faster page, a better user experience. It was not the silver bullet of all of a sudden, if I get my site fast, I'm going to skyrocket in the rankings. And that's where we as SEOs have the obligation to calm our clients down and actually give an understanding of the prioritization, because it's not a panic-stricken moment. And we find ourselves in a space where we love to dig through and figure out a problem, but if it's not the right problem to fix at the right time, we have to have our own internal guidance system, but we also have to give our clients that level of confidence, knowing we've got this, we know what the priority is. And to your point, if your content sucks, for lack of a better expression, right? Don't worry about the small LCP optimization that you can get, because at the end of the day, the content still sucks. All right. So the other part of what you were talking about here was the scientific mindset. You got to know how to measure an effect that you're trying to create, right? So if you just look at metrics without behavior, then all you're doing is working down a sheet. So you got to know what you're paying attention to. If you're improving speed, then the user behavior, the time on page. You want to be able to look at something that's a direct correlation to the affecting factors that you're putting out there, right? So it's a scientific mindset. You set the hypothesis, be able to know what you're going to measure, watch the changes, and then learn from the effort, either reverse it or continue on that particular path. It's that scientific method that's inside of technical as well as content marketing on a website. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. And also not only whether it's working in general, but also does it help to meet the business goals?
Perfect.
And a really huge example, I think many people have encountered it in their careers, is that sometimes you can increase traffic tenfold, but this can be traffic that does not convert. And I remember I had one website, so it came to me and I was like, okay, cool. So they really had huge traffic spikes over the period of a few months before they came to me, right? And they were saying, okay, cool, someone helped us to get this traffic on our website. But then I checked and it was traffic to one of the blog posts, and the blog post was not connected at all to what the company was doing. The company was doing something, I don't really remember, but the blog post, and this is something that I remember, the blog post was about some house that was sold in the US for like the biggest price, which is cool. But if they, for example, were real estate agency, and especially the real estate agency who sold this house, that would be perfect. Or insurance, like for example, house insurance that is needed when you sell a house or buy a house, then it can be somehow connected. But if your website is about, let's say, cats and dogs,
Sure.
and you have this post, that's cool, but you don't have any conversions on it. So it's like a really slight fine line between doing a really good job and bringing real results that meet business values.
Absolutely.
Business goals.
Yeah. You can bring a lot of traffic to a page or a site, and it has no bearing on what the customer's actual intent is. And that's really a chasm that technical SEOs need to be able to cross over, is understanding the marketing SEO side of things, the implicit understanding of the user. I mean, the first step is you have to know what the target audience is and what they're actively searching for, right? And then making sure the content that you produce is actually answering those questions. I know it's kind of academic what we're talking about here, but if you're mired or myopic on the technical SEO side of things, and you're not paying attention to, does this site answer the questions from a utility standpoint and a knowledge of subject matter? Because we understand that we're in the space of semantic SEO. We're in the era of the Google knowledge graph. And Google's wanting to learn from your site. Do you know what you're talking about? And if you don't have related subject matter, if you have some errant blogs out there that have nothing to do, like you said, with the content and the focus of solving those problems for the customers, then invariably you may have traffic, but it won't work for your overall business goals. So that means that you have to understand far beyond the mechanics side of things from an SEO standpoint. You've got to know what the intent of the consumer is, what the business goals of the other client are, and how well you're actually accomplishing that on the website. So you got to know your patient, right?
Exactly. That's exactly correct. And sometimes you might think, especially when you don't talk to a client, or I don't think that you might might ask some questions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ridiculous, but this is true because we're all human. But sometimes people, especially while working at agencies, that's something that I saw. People are afraid to talk to clients and ask questions, especially specialists who do the actual job, right? So they're afraid to talk to clients, and they might find, for example, keywords that are good, but the client wants to concentrate on another part of their business, right? Or another set of products. And it's also, it's already not about SEO, it's about communication and a deeper understanding. But that's what helps you be more successful as an SEO as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's pivot over this to a focus on trying to do everything in SEO perfectly. There's a mentality there that kind of goes beyond just the skills of SEO or technical SEO. I mean, you can get yourself kind of, again, tunnel visioned on things in life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't want to say it's a personality trait, but you can absolutely do this type of effort here. Well, let's go over this and understand it from a technical SEO standpoint. You don't have to attend to everything. You have to understand the priority of issues. Just like you said, if you're blocking crawling, that has to come first before any type of content. But where should we go from an impact mindset? Obviously, it's all subject to the site at hand, obviously. But there are some parameters to actually kind of, I use the physician's analogy, is kind of assess the patient, right? And you can't work a list unless there's a level of priority to begin with. So let's talk about prioritization and understanding what the big impacts are as opposed to the smaller ones. What are some of the bigger efforts that are necessary for any SEO, both the marketing SEO, like I should say the content SEO, and the technical SEO, to keep in mind whenever they're starting to kind of work their patient? What's the first things that they should be paying attention to?
Yeah, for me, these are, so I would just break it down to three things.
Mm-hmm.
So indexability, crawlability, and content. Where content can be partially from technical perspective, partially from content perspective. I'll talk about it in a minute. But with crawlability, you need to make sure that Google can crawl the website, and that it can crawl the pages that you want it to crawl, right? You also need to make sure that Google can index the content that you want Google to index. It has happened in my experience then, for example, oh my God, this just remembered a situation when a client came to me. It was, they just migrated to JavaScript-based platform, and they lost basically everything. They had just one page, their homepage, that was indexed by Google, and it was in reality redirecting to some other internal page of the website, which was completely a mess. And with everything that I found in the audit, I was like, maybe it's better for you just to roll out the previous version,
right?
Because it's just so you'll spend so much time on fixing this version. Maybe you just need to roll out the previous version before you migrate it.
Got it.
So obviously indexing is important. And then content. I'm not even talking about have the right have particular length of content, words on the page, but are all pages that you want Google to see, are they even created? A good example of this is faceted navigation in e-commerce stores. This is a classic example, and one of the biggest possible opportunities for e-commerce. If you have filters that are non-indexable, but they can potentially be something that people will be searching for, right? You can make sure that they are indexable. And this can be done with technical SEO plus content. It doesn't mean that you would need to create all the pages from scratch. You can use other ways to do this on a more scalable level.
Right.
But yeah, you need to, in addition to crawlability and indexability, you need to actually make sure that the content exists in the first place.
Right.
Do
exactly.
you create these pages that can then be crawled and indexed by Google and then ranked?
So do you have a little, I know that's an accurate focus on prioritization, is you have to be able to make sure that it's crawlable before anything else. But when you get down to it, what you're talking about is that indexing of filterable content. What you're really finding your way towards the consumer's needs is that if they're using a particular filter, right? Or if you see search being done on the site and you see active regular queries that you don't have a specific page for, being able to build those type of filterable objects, that is a combination of intent research for the consumer standpoint, technical SEO knowledge, as well as getting the dev team in place to be able to unpack that e-com platform a little bit more, to be able to create that destination page so the user doesn't have to filter through it or search for it. It's already there, available and indexed. And that's kind of the nexus of technical SEO, the marketing SEO, and dev. So that's
for sure.
That's a very apropos space to be able to park here for a second, because if you just focus on technical, you're never going to see the larger picture that we're talking about here. Got to understand the big impacts, got to understand the small impacts, but you can't get overwhelmed with that technical SEO report, because you wouldn't be able to see the hands-on practical application at hand if you can read the behavior of your users. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. It's all, so that's why SEO is not just SEO. You need to be a marketer as well.
Absolutely.
And it's really important. So that's why I'd say that the threshold to the industry is quite low, but then to stay in the industry and be successful, it requires so many more other skills as well. Yeah. And being a marketer is one of the things. In communication, you need to be able to communicate with your client, with your colleagues. Like, for example, talking to a support team has been one of the biggest things that helped me to achieve really great success for one of my clients previously, because they get the questions from the potential clients. They know what people are asking, because sometimes, guess what, you won't find these keywords in SEO tools. And if you do, then these keywords will be showing zero search. But if your clients are asking this, if your clients are searching for this, then it might make sense to create a page addressing this. Like, for example, like we created FAQ, different FAQ pages answering different questions.
Absolutely.
And people were searching for this. So yeah.
It also answers that, it creates even a better brand loyalty, because it shows that the company is actually providing content, it's listening to its customers, it's understanding what's plighting the customer or what are actively being requested from customer service. So it's a great tactic to be able to mine your internal resources, salespeople as well as customer service, because those are the touch points for your consumers. So. We straddle the fence here. Not so much a mechanics checklist, but you can certainly get mired in that and not see that bigger picture. You have to have that blended mindset. And let me further this a little bit further and get into what John Mueller actually quoted here, or tweeted a little while ago, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, or the week before. But it was a tweet that literally should be lifted up as almost like a defining moment for all technical SEOs to look at as like a guiding star, for lack of a better expression. All right, so John Mueller, Webmaster Trends Analyst at Google, he tweeted, "Any SEO tool will spit out tens or hundreds of quote-unquote recommendations. Most of these are not going to be relevant to your site's visibility in search. Finding items that make sense to work with takes experience." So he's talking about all these different SEO tools, and we live and die by all of these different audit reports. And some of us are tool hoarders, and we actually look at a heck of a lot of a lot of auditing tools to get different lenses on the patients, right? So I know I'm the first one. I'll admit I've got a problem with that. So, but the point is, looking at just the technical audit and then trying to create an entire action list off of that. There's so many things that don't matter to your site. In the eyes of Google, they're looking at a lot of different things. And if you're not leaning into what's really important for this website and whatever the cycle of life is for a website, if it's a year old, it's going to be a whole different level of effort than a 10-year or 20-year-old website. I mean, there's different factors to be able to play into it. So you got to know your site's experience and understand kind of the dialogue that has been going on the website, but you also have to have industry knowledge, experience. And that only comes with a heck of a lot of work and learning. So there's experience from a point of knowledge here is irrespective to sites. How do you go about finding that experience and bringing it to bear on any site that comes across your desk?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. And when I was reading this quote from John Mueller, I was really happy, first of all, because this is something that you can also show to your clients sometimes. Because, yeah, as you said, it's important to know. It's not important to know the client. It's important to know the industry, and it's important, as John pointed out, it's important to have experience in it. Because again, if you get a notification that your title, your description are 2 characters longer than they should be, well, it might. I can't even imagine a situation where you would prioritize it over everything else, because there is never a situation when you have everything done. And this is something like to remove a few characters. This is something that you can do when you, on a rainy day, when you have literally nothing else to do. So that's how I go about this. But yeah, I remember, and this is a really good illustration of such alerts. And so first of all,
Mhm.
two things. First of all, Google Search Console does send such alerts as well, and sometimes they're very weird. Like for example, your page is not mobile friendly, and then you check and it is mobile friendly.
Mhm.
Or sometimes you would get notifications that you have structured data issues, and then you check and you don't even have this page on your website for the past 2 years. This has happened a
Yep.
lot, and the worst thing is that clients get this notification and then they forward them to you as if you don't get them.
Mhm.
So they forward them to you, and you explain that, okay, so this is why, and like basically ignore it. And the second example is that I had a client and they were working really hard on their COVID vitals, because for them it was a really big issue.
Right.
And also they were rolling out content library for basically, content library. We were doing content campaign with them, and then they also forwarded me notification from some SEO tools saying you have a toxic link profile. You basically, it's like red and caps.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
okay, everything is fine. Nobody's dying. We are fine. But it's also, in terms of communication, it also, I think, overreaction
Mhm.
as well, because for a client who doesn't know, like, what are they going to do? They're going to freak out because their website is going to be banned. Like, when? In 5 minutes? That's not something they want, right?
Right.
So it's also important to I would say, like, shield clients from these notifications before, and only communicate them the ones that are important,
Right.
and maybe then put them into the strategy,
Right.
because a strategy is never set in stone. It can be flexible depending on how things are going, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's it's an interesting thing.
Well, you know, the concern here, you can't just shield your client from those notifications, because part of the industry is trying to solicit business. And more we see companies that get alerts in their inbox going, your website is in error. There's so many different problems, and they just try to chip away and ping on anything to be able to get audience with the client. So then the client pivots back going, look at what that was just shared with me. And they go through all these, again, with that competitor in their ear, all the while not knowing that, one, you've addressed it and you marginalized it or deprioritized a particular issue. Yeah, it may actually be there, but this is more important. And being able to convey that with level of strategy and somewhat technical knowledge, I mean, isn't it part of the client's responsibility to be able to help be guided by you and not be what do you want to call it? Attracted by a flittering of emails. I mean, there's a maturity that goes not only from a prioritization of the technical SEO or the SEO marketer, but there's a maturity of the companies as well, not to be led astray by these wanton mudslingers. You know?
Yeah, well, definitely, but also at the same time, for certain things and words, and especially red caps lock,
Yeah, exactly.
that trigger our reaction, right?
Oh yeah.
For example, I get scam calls every now and then,
Mhm.
and every time I get a scam call saying, "Oh, you owe money to CRA," or "You need to do something," or something bad
Mhm.
happens,
Mhm.
I still have a reaction on this, even though I know it's a scam call. Even though I just then block the number,
Right.
I still get this reaction. And if, for example, my bookkeeper is doing things, but then I get an email from someone saying, "No, your bookkeeping, like, something is wrong with it,"
Right.
of
Right.
course I'll check in with my bookkeeper. Even though I trust them,
Right.
I will still be like, "Okay, can you just elaborate on this? What's going on?" So yeah, it's also part of communication, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, and not to focus too much on that, but it does actually exemplify the issue that John was talking about, is that any particular SEO report, you can pick something out to use to try to dislodge confidence of a client and their current vendor. And any site has a soft spot, right? It's your job as a technical SEO to be able to make sure, one, you know of all the soft spots, and also realize that there's never going to be a completely fortified website because things change all the time and technology changes all the time. And on top of that, what Google's looking at also changes with regularity. Is what we paid attention to 10, 15, 20 years ago. Certainly, there are some core things that are still just as valuable, but the game shifted an awful lot over time. So you got to be aware of the shifting seas, but also arming a client with information in a way that doesn't create additional worry, but actually say, you know what, here's what we're working on right here. These are issues, but they're lower on the pecking order, lower on priority because this is really important. And as long as they know where you are on track, any given rainy day, right? If we're not focused on this, and this, we can pay attention to those things. But these are marginal. Don't freak out if an alert comes, hey, your meta content is lacking characters, all in red caps, because we know there's much larger pieces at play that you have to attend to. I'm just trying to get a kind of a concept here of our role as technical SEOs is not just a discipline for ourselves, but it's also a discipline to communicate, like you said, to our clients with regularity and show them that you know what the priority is.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Well, this gets into how you know about the priorities. And the fourth step, the fourth leg in this conversation, I wanted to get to continuous learning and the practical experience that you need to understand how to prioritize, because otherwise everything looks like it's always on fire, right?
Yeah.
And if you're paying attention to information and stories and news inside the industry, there's always something new. And if you don't know how to actually process it, right, with the pillar strategies that you have, then you'll be running around with your head cut off trying to attend to this. It can be very challenging because it's a very noisy industry. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And one of the main reasons I see is when people run with their head cut off. I'm just picturing this. It just looks really, really, really not fun. So funny, but not fun. So one of the reasons why this happens, I think, is because people lack structure in their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely know what I'm talking about, because as I said, I've been through all of this. And even though, okay, cool, you have experience, you had win with the clients, but that if you don't structure all of this in your head, if you can't talk through the process of this is what I did and this is how I did it, first of all, it's so much easier to fall a victim to an imposter syndrome, because then you think, oh, it's just like work by itself, because you don't verbalize that process behind this, and you don't attach it to yourself, and also or to the team, and you also don't have a structure of how things work. And when you don't have structure, first of all, you don't know what you don't know, but you don't know what you know, and this is the most dangerous thing, because it has happened so many times with me, and I know with so many people as well. When you get a question about something, for example, let's pretend we are in a room with like 20 people, and somebody is standing on the stage and asking a question,
right? And
you're like, oh my God, I know the question, but oh, this might not be the answer. This might not be the best answer. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. And then you see someone who is right next to you, and they're answering question, and everyone is like, yeah, good job. That's exactly what I was talking about. And you're like, yeah, but I knew this, and I knew even more, but I was afraid to talk about this. And I attach it all to lack of structure in the head. First of all, this is the, for me, like this is the the foundation of why we have the imposter syndrome, why we can't talk about things that we know,
Right.
we just don't think we know them. So, yeah.
But, I mean, and in this industry, I mean, we are laden with kind of the challenges of so much information, and one topic has so many different subtopics or nuances.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got people in this industry that are deep divers when it comes down to analysis and understanding of effects of different types of technical SEO improvements, as well as detractors of value. So, I mean, there's that thermal layer of knowledge and information, and you have to avail yourselves to individuals that are doing deep diving, because that will give you structure and understanding and confidence on not only how to speak, but how to process what's really going on. And on top of that, give yourself, like I said, that foundation to be able to push back as well, because that's one of the other areas that need to have more people inside of our industry to be able to behave, is if they know data is wrong, or if they know something needs to be further discussed than just accepted as gospel from top celebrities in our industry. You have to have the wherewithal to be able to push back and say, you know what, I've got this data that challenges what you're saying there. And I mean, we have that natural fear of, hey, if I don't have all my ducks in a row, right? If I don't have all this data, then I'll be subject to scrutiny. Well, yeah, you would be, because this is an analytical industry, but you can learn from that structure to be able to not only defend yourself, but also participate and proactively share. Sorry, that was a long-winded rant there, but
no, I totally agree. And also with the structure, like how I picture it is, when you don't have structure, everything that you learn, and be it in SEO, be it not in SEO, but everything you learn is just like a wall, and different things stick to it, right? Some of them just go down, some of them stick to it, but basically everything is chaos. But when you have a structure is like shelves, and you have the basic information, then you have more advanced information, and then you put more and more, let's say, books, let's have it like a really, really solid imagination. Let's put books on the shelves so that you can fill in all these gaps. And then when everything is changing, or something is becoming obsolete, you just remove one and replace it with some new knowledge. So that's how I see it. And that's what and also, as an SEO, like a side effect of being SEO, what I realized is being able to dig into anything. So even though when you start, you have, for example, a task to complete, you need to understand why this thing is not working, and it should be working, and it's not working. And you are digging into this. If you have this analytical mindset of an SEO, by the end of the day, you might already like crack this puzzle and understand what was going on, because that's what the structure and the mindset do. It doesn't mean that you need to know, and it would be impossible to know everything, because SEO now is such a diverse niche, as you said. It's so different from when I started. It was just like keywords, links, and basically it. I don't think that we were specifically talking about technical SEO by itself. But yeah, now there's so many things, and it's so great that when you have understanding of those, then you can go deeper in the directions where you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I get the analogy. Create your own shelves of organization of concepts, so you can then group these things together, so you can make sense out of these different areas. But there also is a discipline necessary in our industry of a continued learning, a continued process, and you got a filing system. Over here at our shop, we've kind of swallowed the red pill, so to speak, of learning. We've been doing this show for 10 years with a pretty top priority of this is how we learn what's going on in the industry on a regular basis by speaking to guests such as yourself that have this great information, be able to take it in, be able to unpack it for our own team members. But for that SEO that's brand new into the industry, right? When they don't have this particular stage, right? That they really don't participate in, they can actually get themselves in a little small room in that first corporate gig that they get. And it's very easy to lessen the priority of learning more in the industry because they've got one site to figure out. They're working the puzzle inside their organization. It can certainly be a marginal thing to keep yourself regularly educated in the space, right? How do you counter that type of concept?
Well, I think it's certainly important to be always educated and see what's going on. It's so easy to have FOMO when things like that. But when it comes to working, like for example, at an agency or working full time at a company. Client side, not at an agency, but client side. Definitely you have like a corporation, let's say, definitely it's much easier to go deeper, and at an agency it's easier to go basically wider. That's how I see it. And I think that being at an agency is a really good first step, but some people prefer agencies over working in-house, so it just depends on the person.
You do have the education challenges on both sides of the fence, either an agency or a company, because if you're working in an individual company as part of the marketing team, right? Well, your job is to be able to maximize your effort to the benefit of the client as best as possible, and trying to justify time or rationalize time to your superiors. Right? I really need to learn this because it's going to benefit us this way. You have to be able to know that type of investment of time is going to pay off. Same thing with agency work. Agency work can be a heck of a lot more fast and furious, but at the same time, you still have to rationalize to your superiors that this time that I'm spending to listen to this podcast or read this article or train on this particular technique will benefit all of the clients to a much larger degree. You get specialized in these type of talents and get working experience, it's going to, again, turn into better value for the client base. So why does education matter so much in SEO? I got a couple key bullets here. Because search engine rules change a lot, right? Search habits also change. Markets change. Competition changes. You have to not be tunnel visioned inside of your own organization. You've got to be able to watch everything that's happening. And on top of that, clients' goals are very important. And as an SEO advisor, you have the job of actually meeting those goals. So you have to keep your level of experience and education high, and let alone the practical experience there. So we've talked about core web vitals and not to get myopic on or distracted by things that can seem very important at the time, because we also have in this SEO industry a manner of really fermenting a lot about a very little topic. So how do you train the people that actually join your challenges? How do you train them, not only from the practical, this is the block and tackle, everything you need to do, but how do you arm them with be able to discern small priorities to larger priorities? What kind of guidance do you give them?
Yeah. So basically, just a little some background. We are now talking about my course, the SEO Challenge course, and so I was training people for a long time, like junior SEOs and also medium level SEOs, and especially at the agency where I left before I became a consultant. So then I realized that, and I also got so many questions from people in DMs. Where do I start? How do I do this? How do I understand how to, for example, find keywords and all these different things, right? So I decided to, and I'm also a teacher by education. So I think I've never worked as a teacher, for example, at a school, but I think it's just this part of me is just now showing up. So that's why I find really a lot of fun in helping people understand the concepts. And many people say, my students say that I'm really good at breaking hard things in simple ways, especially like technical SEO is the biggest part of my course, where people finally understand how things work so that they can build on top of this afterwards if they want to go niche down. But as I was saying at the beginning, I think that everything is important. Everything is important together. So my course goes from the beginning to, like, we talk about content, we talk about keywords and intent, and I give the exact processes. So what I was lacking when I was a junior SEO is that it was really hard to, you read posts, but it's really hard to have like over the shoulder training from an expert you trust, right? So this is something that I give there as well. And also technical SEO is a huge part, and measuring SEO is important as well, because it's not only about doing SEO, but it's also about measuring and communicating the value of your work. And what I'm really proud of is that the lessons, the homework, everything is really hands-on, because I honestly hate when you have just when I've bought multiple courses when I was researching competition. I just don't like when you have 1 minute video that talks about, like, for example, canonical exists, that's it. Right. And then you have a quiz, what is canonical, and that's it. Like, you can memorize, but you don't know how to actually use it, how to actually utilize it, and how to connect with the real life examples. So hands-on experience and being practical is one of the things that I'm really, really proud of. And one more thing, when it comes to, in general, when it comes to any SEO and any person, I strongly believe that you need to have your value within yourself. And what I mean by that is that, of course, you need to bring value to your clients. Of course, you need to bring value to the company you're working at. But at the end of the day, you need to keep the value of your knowledge, the value of your skills for yourself as well. You need to, because just doing something for somebody does not help. You need to have personal interest in it. So, for example, if you're just taking the SEO challenge to work in this particular company, that's fine. But if you want to move to another company, if you want to get a job, that's exactly the knowledge that you have, practical knowledge that you have. Then you can move to another job, and your value as an SEO, right, stays with you, not with the company where you worked at, but with you, because at that point you'll already have practical experience and you already have your own website where you can write things and test things. And then it's so much easier to find something else, or to find clients. I have had many people finding clients or new jobs after the SEO Challenge course. So I'm really happy about that.
Very good, very good. So how many people have you instructed in these courses up to now?
There are more than 100 people already. I've had, this is going to be the 6th cohort of people. This is just amazing. I remember when I was just studying, it was just me. Now I have an SEO coach inside of the course. I have a community manager who's just taking care of everything and making sure that everybody can find the logins and everyone knows what's going on. And also I have live calls, and they're more like coaching calls, because I don't like just answering questions, because when somebody asks you something and then you just give the answer, they don't think. But I like more triggering triggering their answers, so that asking more questions so that they can answer this themselves.
Very good.
And next time they will be able to come up in a slightly different situation to come up with the answer themselves versus just thinking, oh, okay, now it's different and I don't know what to do. So mindset.
Absolutely. Start with the right mindset, but certainly be able to educate yourself and have a continual learning process and a discipline and a regiment. You've got to keep yourself fed in this space and take that with you. This is not just intellectual property of your employer. This is you learning this information and having practical experience that's going to go career wide, not just at your unique position at the time. So let's talk about this 45-day challenge. You are taking reservations right now. It's going to be going up to the 20th of this month, August 20th, and then it's starting the 23rd, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is personal attention to every student from my side and also from the SEO coach and community manager inside of the Slack community. We have Slack community. So I open the doors only a few times a year, and now this is the week where the doors are open, and we start next Monday. So the last day to join is Friday, and the best time is now.
Very good. Very good. We have a special for our audience as well. If you go to seochallenge.co/join, Kristina's actually offered up a discount on this course, a 45-day challenge. If you enter the word EDGE, EDGE, you'll actually get 20% off of the 45-day SEO challenge. So thank you for that generous offering to our listenership.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be happy to see everyone who really wants to learn and to grow.
Absolutely. So we have a couple questions to finish up our show here from Hillary Quinn out of Ireland. She had a question for you. Have you ever suggested SEO recommendations that someone disagreed with? Example would be maybe the web development team. And how did you overcome that?
Yeah, oh my God, I love this question. First of all, communication with developers is worth a separate episode, and this is something that I talk about in my course, my live calls as well. But the main point I'd say here is that you need to understand that the developer is not trying, most of the times they're not trying to go against you. They just have their own opinion about this, and you need to and their own motivations behind this.
Right.
So you need to get to those motivations and try to find a win-win, because sometimes in reality, sometimes you might not be right, not because you're wrong, you're a bad SEO, but just because you don't know how the infrastructure is working, so that you can work with the developer together and understand how you can find the golden middle between your recommendations and how they can be implemented. Maybe it means that they can be implemented in iterations. Maybe it means that you can slightly change something, and then, which is not the end of the world, but not perfect, right? So because it's real life. But the main advice that I'll give here is that don't take it personally. Never take it personally. Never think that, oh, they just hate me. They just don't trust me. They might not trust you, but if you build a good relationship with them, and if you talk to them and ask why, because it might be they are afraid they won't be able to do their job well.
That's true.
Or so there are always some motivations behind our words, and if you can get down to those motivations, it's so much easier to find a win-win between both of you.
Well said. No, that's great, and that is always a bit of the challenge, especially if you're an outside organization coming in and meeting with entrenched either marketers or entrenched dev team. They can certainly feel threatened to begin with, and they can postulate a number of different thoughts about your agenda. Right? You got to get past that. You got to be able to conquer that with one good win as a team. but you also have to be able to demonstrate the measurement, because a lot of times dev don't know how to measure SEO performance or user behavior the way we look at it from an SEO standpoint. So you get around a small tactic and you demonstrate the wins and you lift them up as participants. All of a sudden, you now have a champion inside that organization, right?
Yeah, and one more thing I just want to quickly add is that you need to make sure that they understand what you're talking about. Right. Because if you just say, this is good for SEO, they don't care. This is one of the things that that you need to take into account. You need to back it up with data, ideally, but if you don't have data, with the things that motivate them as well. Because at the end of the day, especially if this is an in-house developer, if this is not a company that you just hired and who doesn't know your company, especially with in-house developers, is their goal to win as well. So just you can win together.
Absolutely. That's a good thought to end our show on. And we certainly do appreciate your time today, Kristina, and as well as everybody who is watching and listening. Thanks for that last bit of a question there. Do appreciate it, Hillary. Any final thought for your potential audience here coming up? You've got a lot of reservations coming up here for this 45-day SEO challenge. What do you want to inspire your soon-to-be students for this cohort?
Yes. First of all, this is something that I would love to tell everyone is just believe in yourself, have confidence to show up and show what you can actually do. Like one of my previous students in the previous SEO challenge, when I was opening the doors to it, she had just like small clients, but then after the challenge, she got this confidence to get a much larger client, and now she got 3 more clients, and this has literally changed her life. But this is how you want things to happen for you, what your goal is, and then if your goal is in alignment with getting more confidence in your SEO skills, in filling in the gaps, then definitely join the SEO challenge. I'll be happy to see you. It's all about confidence and showing up like a real professional in SEO. There you
go. Well, again, kudos to you for your success, and we've been starstruck seeing what you've been doing over the last year, and we want to make sure that you get lifted up by our social and whatever we can do to help you out. You're always welcome on the show, Kristina. It's been fantastic to see what you do in the SEO community, and you come from some humble beginnings, and what a great platform you've built for yourself. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. Well, make sure that our audience tracks you down on Twitter, Azar-Chick. That's A-Z-A-R Chick. On Facebook, you can track Kristina down on Kristina.Azarenko, as well as LinkedIn, Kristina Azarenko, and Instagram, KristinaAzarenko.digital. Again, Kristina, back to you. Thanks so much for your time today, and let us know however we can help you in the future, all right?
Thank you so much. Sounds good. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. All right. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Edge of the Web channel on YouTube. And if you're really feeling up to it today, we'd certainly appreciate a review on iTunes. That's how we feed the algorithm. Thanks to our sponsors, Site Strategics and Wix. Make sure you see all the must-see videos over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. Next show, be sure to pay attention to it as we're going to dive into the technical SEO tools, a huge list of 65 tools with Olga Zarzhesnia. Boy, I always trip on that. Olga Zarzhesnia. From all of us over at Edge of the Web, be safe, be well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.